everyone, so we finally got fat bikes. We ended up getting the Trek Farley series. Shannon got the 9.6, which is full carbon, and I ended up getting the 9.0, which is aluminum. And I also have a Bluetooth fork on mine. Shannon's bike, as I said, was full carbon, so her bike weighs in at right now, set up tubeless from the shop, at 27.45 pounds. My guy here right now weighing in around 30 pounds. I did change the saddle, which is a little bit lighter from stock. I think it weighed 30.5 pounds when I first weighed it without the pedals on it and with everything stock. Okay, so I have a really tight space to work in here, so probably for most of this video you're not going to see my head, which I don't think you need to. So we'll get started with going down the list of what you need. So for this conversion, I've actually decided to use a newer product called Orange Seal. And the reason I did that was because a lot of people, from what I can tell online, who have fat bikes are using Orange Seal to convert their wheels to tubeless because they have a product called, I think it's Sub-Zero, and it holds up better in colder weather. I live in New Jersey, so we don't get that much snow. We get enough that we wanted to get fat bikes, but we're never really going to be out there riding in sub-zero temperatures. So I actually chose to go with the Endurance tubeless sealant because it lasts a little bit longer in the tubes, and that's a good thing. Any shortening of the maintenance time that I have to do on these bikes is a plus. Okay, so for most of our videos, we're sort of going to go through things in steps as if you didn't have any idea what you were doing, because at some point we didn't, and it was really hard to figure out what to do on your own through videos because a lot of people making these videos just assume that you're starting at a certain level. So we're not going to assume that. So the first thing you're going to want to do is, with this bike you have a through axle, so you start to turn it and you realize that the lever on here just spins. You have to turn it upside down and stick it into the notch on here, and then put pressure on it to get it to release from the thread on this side. And then once you do that, it pulls straight out, and this is what a through axle looks like. And what's nice about this bike is the wheel's just going to slide right out, unlike actually the Cannondales that we have, where you have to take the brake off first. But with the Trek Farley, through axle comes out, the wheel slides right off without having to touch the brake. Also, what I heard was on these Bontrager Jackalope wheels, people have said just use the Bontrager products, which is, you know, the TLR tape and the TLR fluid, which I have used in my other bikes before and I do like. I also have a bike set up with stands. This time we're going to use the Orange Seal, and I wanted to just go completely Orange Seal and see what happens. So the Bontrager rim tape is 21 millimeters wide, and the Orange Seal tape is actually 24 millimeters wide. So I'm not sure what's going to happen when we try to use the wider tape. Looks like we'll probably just find. The valve stems are very different from the Bontrager stems. I also have a pair of backup stand stems over there just in case this fails. But I thought these looked interesting. These plugs have a really wide bottom on them, and they have these plastic flanges that go top and bottom when you do the rims. I did opt to just get a bigger bottle of the sealant and use my Stan's no tubes injector. Saved me a little bit of money there. So first thing we're going to do is get the air out of the tire and remove the tubes. Oh wow. Okay, so this bead is really tight, which is something I really hate. It's going to be tough to get this tube off for me. So what I like to do is use the palm of my hand and push away, and they can usually, gosh, this is gonna suck. Try to keep the tire with the rotor side up so you don't damage the rotor. So it looks like the trick to these tires, because they're so wide, is to really get every ounce of air out of them and then push the tire down into the center and bring the bead on both sides into the center so it's a little looser. And then you can get your tire lever underneath there and pull the tire off. So once I got to this point, I found something that I did not expect. When they say tubeless ready, they really mean tubeless ready. The tubeless rim strip is already installed on these tires, so that's actually going to save me a lot of hassle because these tires are ready to go. All I need to do is get the tube out and put some sealant in here, and we should be ready to go, which is great. So I'm excited about that. There's a lot of stuff in life that aggravates me. And one of the biggest thing is when a tire is so tight that I can't get it off of the rim. This is one of those situations. I had to turn the camera off, and it took a few minutes to wrestle with it, and I finally got the tire lever pushed under here and clipped onto the spoke. I ended up having to wrap a towel around the rotor, just so I don't put do any damage to that down there. But I wanted to turn the camera back on at this point, because I think I'm going to be able to unhook this and then just slide the tire off. So we'll see how that goes. I'm hoping. God, this is so tight. So alright, it's starting to come off. Now, I gotta be honest, I mean, I like to say you can work on your own bike and etc., but I don't even know if I'm gonna carry a spare tube with me out on the trail. I'd rather just walk the bike out or have somebody come get me with a different, I don't even know. That was tough and aggravating. So, it's finally out. I guess it has to be tight like that though, so that when you are setting it up tubeless, it gets into the rim and it really hugs it tight, because obviously you don't want to get a leaky tire out there. This really reinforces why you should have your mountain bike tires set up tubeless anyways, because if you're out on the trail and you get a flat, you can't get your tire off. It's gonna really suck. So, I don't know. Here's a fat bike tire tube. I really tried to get all the air out of it, but look how much is still in there. I really couldn't get it out, so I think that might have been probably part of the problem as well. We're going to go ahead and assume this rim strip is a tubeless rim strip and deal with it later if it isn't. In fact, I might just leave the back tire set up with a tube in case it's not, and I find out tomorrow when I ride this in the snow, because it is snowing right now, which is why I'm outside riding, that wasn't a rim strip for tubeless. All you need to do, get these valves ready. There are two size flanges in here. You use the, you use the large ring on the inside of the rim. So you put that on first, slide it down onto the valve stem. So you slide this through the rim, get it in there. Put the small O-ring on the outside of the rim. Get down there. And then this ring and thread it back on. Now if this was a tube, you wouldn't want it to be real tight, but since it's tubeless, you want this ring to be really tight on here so the fluid doesn't leak out. So I have this on there as tight as it can go. And this little plastic part here makes no contact with the wheel, so that's a little weird. But people like these systems, so I'm trying it. There's two ways to do this. You can put the fluid in now, or you can put the tire back on and then put the fluid in and get the tire to seat while it's on. I'm gonna opt for putting the tire back on and then using the injector to put the fluid in here when the tire is on the bike, just because the bead is so tight. And that also means that I'm going to need a valve core remover. If you don't have one of those, you can use a really small wrench, adjustable wrench. I'm really trying not to skip any of the steps that I'm doing for this video because I find that annoying as well when I'm trying to figure out the right way to do something and I watch a video and they skip something. So legitimately, I just skipped the step of me getting this tire reseated on the rim. I really had a struggle with it, and it's totally still doable though. You just roll over and use the palms of your hands as you push over. The other thing is that you don't really want to use that tire lever to get these seated back on here because you want the integrity of the bead to remain so that sealant stays in there. So I'm going to get this tire pumped up and seated back on this rim hopefully before I start doing the fluid. A lot of people are using, I think it's called, I can't remember the name of it, but it's, you pump the pump up and then you kind of let the trigger go and it acts like a compressor. I don't have that pump. I do have a compressor, but I really want to try to get this back onto the rim without either of those. Because I know I can do it. I think I might have to put this back on the bike first though. Right. I found it so difficult actually to get the tire off and back on again that I wanted to confirm with Trek that blue rim tape on here was actually the tubeless rim tape. So I just called and it is. So that's great news because if it wasn't and I had to do this again, I'd probably be a little pissed off. So apparently stock, these bikes ship with the blue rim tape and the shop should actually install it when they're building it. So what I did here too, to get the air in here, to get the tire seated on the rim easier, I took the valve core out of the stem to get more air in really quickly. So what's going to happen now, well actually what's going to happen now is I'm going to put some fluid in the injector and get that ready. So this injector is 2 ounces, which is great for a regular mountain bike tire, not great for these. So I'm going to have to put 4 ounces in these tires, so I'm going to have to fill this twice, which could get a little messy, but we'll see what happens. And I guess once again, there's just 2 ways to do this. The one way is to leave this tire unseated off of the rim and just pour this in here. And the other way is the way that I'm choosing to do it right now so that I can measure things out exactly the way I want them, and also so that this tire is seated on the rim the way I wanted it to be, because it was a pain in the ass and I don't want to have any issues once I have fluid in there and then waste the fluid because it's kind of expensive. So now if I start pouring this in here like this, it's going to go straight into the tire. I'm not going to be able to measure it the right way. So I'm going to put a kink right here down at the bottom of the nozzle and I'm going to start pouring. And once I get to 2 ounces, I'm going to let it go. Okay. So I'm at 2 ounces right now. I may or may not need this plunger with these particular tires. We'll see. So, alright. Yeah, it's just going right down in there. So I don't need the plunger, which is great. So that's 2 ounces in. We're going to put another 2. Make sure you shake this up really well because this has something called like nanoparticles or something in it. and that's what helps to block up. I think it's holes up to a quarter inch, which is pretty big. So to get that fluid in, I'm going to rock the tire a little bit. It's pretty cool. Alright, so that's 4 ounces in the Jackalope rim with the Hodag tire. Now what I want to do is put the valve core back into the valve stem, so that's here. And I have my valve core tool. So I'm going to unscrew this. And all right. I don't know if these stems are going to work on these rims. As I was just tightening up there, the valve stem was spinning. So I hope these little seals work. Otherwise I'm going to have to do this all over again. I'm going to put 20 pounds of pressure in here right now, just to get the fluid spinning around in there and so I can get everything coated. But of course, I would never keep 20 pounds of pressure in these tires and ride on them. It'd be like riding on beach balls. Okay, so that's 20 pounds. It's a lot more work to get 20 pounds in here than it is on a regular tire. Just give it a spin. Now to really get this to coat, I'm going to take this off of the rack and I'm going to go like this with the tire while it's still on the fork to get it on the sides, but I decided I am going to do this back tire today, so I want to get started with that. This is actually the back wheel this time. I didn't want to skip the step that I skipped earlier. This tire was actually a lot looser than the front bead, so I really didn't have a problem like I did getting the front tire off with this back one. So I'm assuming it's going to go on a lot easier as well. And already I can see that's true. I'm not sure why that front bead was so tight. But use your palm of your hand to pop the bead back onto the rim. Yeah, this tire is like 100% looser than that front tire. I'm not sure why, but anyways, that's awesome. So that's how to pop the tire back onto the rim with the palms of your hands. After you have the sealant in and the pressure pumped up to, I like to put what the max the rim can hold, just overnight. And then you just want to get the fluid in there. Same thing on this side. What you're trying to do is get the fluid to get into the cracks and the seals and underneath that valve stem to seal everything up. So this is the right way. You can also do the front tire once it's on your bike by just spinning the fork and leaning the bike up on the back wheel, which is what I plan to do for that side. And that's pretty much it. I'm going to put the back wheel on and then I'm going to ride in the snow tomorrow. It's actually still snowing, so we'll see how it goes. Oh, let's get to the most important part. The whole point of this, obviously, is twofold. One, you don't want to get flats while you're out there on a mountain bike and you're running over things that are pointy. And two, especially with this bike, like I talked about before, I wanted to get it lighter. So I added 4 ounces to this front tire of fluid, and I want to weigh this tube to see how much weight I took actually out of the front tire. And then that should give me my total savings times 2, of course. Okay, wow. So This tube is exactly 0.99 pounds, so I would call that a pound even. So I'm going to take 2 pounds off this bike, and then once I do that, I'm putting 8 ounces back on. So do the math on that. According to my app, I am taking 2 pounds off of this bike by taking the tubes out, and I am putting back in a half a pound. So I'm saving a total of 1.5 pounds by converting this bike to tubeless. So 30 minus 1.5 brings this bike down to 28.5 pounds, which is 1 pound heavier than Shannon's carbon bike, which is the same basic setup here. But don't forget, I have this Bluto fork here, which is going to be super fun, and I'm only paying a pound for that. I'll take it. So I hope this video helped, and good luck with your bike. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.